Right, okay people. What we're going to do today, we're going to have a look at adaptations in the tropical rainforest. You've already had a look at how animals have adapted to survive in the rainforest. The next thing we're going to do is look at how the plants, the vegetation, have adapted to survive in the tropical rainforest. So a little reminder, adapted just means how have they changed to allow themselves to survive in the conditions. Okay, so we've already looked at animals and what they've done. Today we're going to focus on vegetation. So they've had to develop to deal with those physical conditions in the tropical rainforest. The main adaptations plants have had to deal with is climatic conditions. So if we think, what is the climate like in the tropical rainforest? Well, it's very, very hot. It's very, very wet. So remember, around about 2,000 millimeters of rainfall a year. Average temperatures normally between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius all year. So very, very hot and very, very wet. So that's meant that the plants have had to deal with this huge amount of rainfall and also the very intense heat. So the forest floor, right down at the bottom, the conditions are dark and gloomy, but there is lots and lots of rainfall. So one plant that's adapted to survive in the forest floor is a fan palm. There's a picture of it just there. And it's got very, very large segmented leaves. What that means is the leaves aren't all joined together, there's lots of gaps between them. So that means that the rainfall can pass through them quite easily. If it was just one huge solid leaf, when the heavy, heavy rainfall landed on it, eventually the leaf would become too heavy and would just break. So with the segmentation, it allows the water to pass through very, very easily. They're also very, very big. So they've got a very large surface area, which means they can gather as much sunlight as possible. They need the sunlight to help them grow for photosynthesis. So if they weren't as big as they are, it would be very difficult for them to get enough sunlight. If they were higher up in the forest, they might not necessarily need to be as big, but because they're right down at the bottom where it's very, very dark, it means they need to be massive. So they've got large segmented leaves that allow the rainfall to pass through, and the very, very large, big surface area gathering as much sunlight as possible. Moving slightly further up, in the under canopy, there are lots and lots of lianas. Now, lianas are vines that attach themselves to tree trunks and allow the vine to climb up towards the sunlight in the under canopy. So the trees that they attach to, the tall trees that are reaching up, allow the liana to climb its way up easily so that it can reach the sunlight higher up. Trees also have a very thin, smooth bark which allows water to flow down them easily. Remember, lots and lots of rainfall, so there's lots of water that needs to pass from the atmosphere down to the forest floor. They also don't need thick bark because it's very warm in the rainforest, so they don't need the bark to keep them warm. It's like if we are going out in the sun, we wouldn't wear a big thick jumper because we don't need that to keep us warm. The tree doesn't need thick bark to keep it warm. Right, in the canopy, in fact, in lots and lots of leaves all throughout the rainforest, the leaves have developed what are called drip tips. So these are little tips at the end of the leaf that allow the water to flow off very, very easily. So there's lots of rainfall in the rainforest, as we know. It gathers on the leaf, but because of the drip tips, the water can flow off very, very easily. That means it's not going to stay around on the leaf and cause damage to it. The leaves have also developed a thick, waxy coating on the top, so that stops any water loss. So because of the intense sunshine, the intense heat, if there wasn't the waxy coating, any water in the leaf would just come out of the leaf through a process called evapotranspiration. So the water evaporates and transpires out of the leaf. Because of the waxy coating, that stops that happening, so it stops the leaf from getting damaged. Okay, right, between the tropics, where our tropical rainforests are found, the sun's rays are overhead for the whole day. So the sunlight is very, very intense, but it's also coming straight down. As a result of this, trees have grown straight up to try and reach the sunlight. So they're very, very tall and very, very straight. They need to get as high as they can so that they can photosynthesize as much as possible. All right, the last one we'll have a little look at is what are called buttress roots. And if you have a look on those pictures, all of those funny little brown bits, they are the root system. So when we looked at soils, we said that the soil in the rainforest isn't actually that fertile. It's only the very top bit where the decaying matter is that the nutrients are. So in order for the big trees to get as much nutrients as they can and also not fall over, they've adapted these buttress roots. So they're good for anchoring these big trees to the ground. In some cases, the root system, the buttress roots, can be 2-3 meters tall. So it stops the tree from falling over, but it also allows it to collect as many nutrients from the leaf litter as possible. Okay, so what you're going to do now is a few questions related to this material. You're going to do some notes, some questions, have a look on ePraise, and that'll tell you exactly what you need to do.